tonight. The province and the School Boards Association make a deal on class complexity, but will it impact the teachers' strike? Also, a Regina man is at the center of a new class action lawsuit seeking damages for intergenerational trauma. Plus, how 3 South Asian women in Saskatchewan went from home cooks to kitchen queens.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, March 8th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McKeag. Thanks for joining us tonight. A surprise contract agreement between the government and the Saskatchewan School Boards Association could move the dial on the teachers' strike. But some wonder if it could also cause a rift between the STF and the school boards. Alexander Kwan explains.
There may now be a path forward between teachers and the provincial government. The two sides have been at an impasse over contract negotiations. This morning, the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation announced more job action. But an agreement today could change things.
This would be a path forward where we could start addressing issues in a more meaningful way.
The Ministry of Education says it has signed a deal with the Saskatchewan School Boards Association, putting $356 million a year for 4 years towards classroom supports. But the deal has left some school trustees who are supposed to be represented by the School Boards Association frustrated. One trustee says the first time he heard of the proposal was when he read it in a news release.
I'm upset, even not the frustration. I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset. And they respect us, even ask our input, but they didn't.
The province says the money would address issues of class complexity and class size that teachers want in a new contract. But the cash is not guaranteed beyond this budget, and it works out to about $45 million per year in extra money. Still, it might push teachers back to bargaining.
So right today, we are encouraging the Minister of Education to bring an amended version of this MOU to the table where bargaining can happen, and we can put it into the contract.
This morning, the union announced it plans to withdraw its members from extracurricular activities province-wide on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That means no after-hours sports, field trips, student travel, or graduation planning. The STF says that on Wednesday, teachers from certain districts will also withdraw from noon-hour supervision. Those areas include Creighton, Prince Albert, Lloydminster, and Moose Jaw. As of now, that job action will go ahead. But for the first time in weeks, it seems there's a chance the two sides could be talking again. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
A Saskatchewan man is stuck in Haiti amidst a violent power struggle in that country. Richard Phillips arrived at the end of February. He says it was peaceful then, but now things have changed. International news reports say Haiti's prime minister was stranded in Puerto Rico, unable to get home amidst violence. Now, gang leaders are battling to gain power. Phillips was supposed to leave the country on Sunday, but says his flight was canceled and he's locked in.
The other thing that is probably quite concerning to us, actually, is that the National Police Force kind of collapses without leadership. That would create a lot of freedom for the gangs to expand their territory, take over, and increase the kidnapping, robbing, and looting and murdering. So that is actually very concerning if the police force was to collapse. So if a message to Canada would be, whatever you can do to help get this international peace force here, you should be stepping up to the plate.
Phillips says he has dealt with the violence in Haiti in the past. He's registered with the Canadian government and hopes to get help soon. The federal government is advising everyone to avoid travel to the country given the unstable situation. A class action lawsuit has been filed against the federal government for intergenerational trauma for children of residential school survivors. A 32-year-old man from Regina is the main claimant in the case. He suffered a brain injury as a baby at the hands of his biological father. Darla Pones has the story.
Matthew Brandon was 6 years old when he met Chris and Shannon Gardner. That was in 1997, and they became his foster parents. He is 32 years old now, and he is nonverbal with complex needs. Before being placed with the Gardners when he was 6, Brandon lived in 11 different foster homes. The Gardners say they were left in the dark when it came to his medical history. They say they discovered the truth just as he was aging out of the system.
It wasn't until 2012 that we actually got more information from his file that he had actually endured, I guess, an assault as a toddler. So we were raising a child with autism as far as we were concerned. We had to discover that on our own, but it turns out he actually had an acquired brain injury.
According to a filed lawsuit, Brandon's brain injury was the result of his biological father physically abusing him. Brandon's father was a residential school survivor, and the suit alleges that he had unresolved trauma. The Gardners went to the Merchant Law Group for help. They want justice for Brandon and for all others who were impacted by intergenerational trauma related to the residential schools.
If we're really in a post-TRC moment, reconciliation asks that our government do better to address and account for those harms.
The law firm dealt with a similar case in 2005. That led to a settlement for residential school survivors. Merchant Law estimates that 400,000 people could have been impacted.
Everyone within the Indigenous community, and particularly the leadership, have talked about and been aware of the intergenerational impact of residential schools. It really changed the whole fabric of Indigenous people in Canada.
Merchant Law says if the case is certified, it may take up to 5 years before it is resolved. For now, the law firm says it'll start collecting individual stories of others who were affected. Darla Pani, CBC News, Regina.
And support is available for anyone affected by residential schools. You can call the 24-hour National Crisis Line for access to emotional and crisis referral services. That number is 1-866-925-4419. Regina's Central Library branch might not be rebuilt in the same spot once it's demolished. 2 years ago, the library board voted to build a new branch with a preference for its current spot downtown. But now the library is gauging the market for other potential locations. In an expression of interest released yesterday, RPL invites property developers to provide information about potential partnerships and locations for a new building. The library says there will be public consultations if new locations are identified. A recent vote by Saskatoon City Council ruled that emergency shelters must be at least 250 meters away from elementary schools. That decision canceled plans for a shelter in the city's Sutherland neighborhood. And now, as Pertouche Dial reports, there is increasing anger against an existing shelter.
This emergency shelter in Fairhaven is under scrutiny. Nearly 1,000 people have signed an online petition asking for it to be relocated. They're citing safety and concerns of increased crime in the neighborhood.
I'm concerned about the growing hatred towards the homeless.
The councillor who represents the area says he understands people are frustrated, but says the shelter is needed.
How am I feeling about the petition? One thing I would say is that I've been calling for that particular shelter to be reduced in size for over a year now. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we have to ask the second question when they are wanting this shut down is where do these people go?
The Salvation Army has 85 shelter beds. We are told they're in high demand every day. Its overnight warming shelter has been seeing an average of 140 people. This week, 160 people came for help.
It's a really clear indicator of the fact that we need this overnight warming center in the winter, and that we're seeing 150 people there is an indication that there aren't enough shelter spaces. But we're currently in a situation, and for the foreseeable future, when we do need shelter beds to supplement the housing that is being built. And so it's obvious from this winter that there are not enough shelter beds in town.
We need to look at more long-term sustainable solutions.
This housing advocate says homelessness is increasing in the city and their affordable rental units are always in demand. She says while shelters are needed for some, more housing is another much-needed solution.
We have to recognize that not everybody's going to be a homeowner and not everybody is going to be able to be successful in market rentals. So when we think about that, then we need to assess what's missing, what transitional housing is missing, what affordable housing, supportive housing is missing for folks to have a choice or an option to be able to live and to successfully stay housed.
Advocates say more shelters and housing infrastructure is needed. And they urge people who don't want shelters in their neighborhoods to think of those who can't even afford to have a roof over their heads. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Well, they may have lost a game, but Team Saskatchewan is not out yet at the Brier in Regina. Mike McEwen and his rink fell to Alberta 9-7 today, but there is still a chance to make up that loss tonight. Devin Haru has more.
A dramatic afternoon inside the Brand Centre as more than 5,000 fans packed this arena. Of course, the majority of them cheering on Team Saskatchewan, going up against Alberta's Brennan Bottcher in the 1-versus-2 qualifying game. What a dramatic scene it was in the final end. A burnt rock. The umpire had to come out onto the ice. They rearranged the rock, and in the end, Mike McEwen unable to make his last throw with just 2 seconds remaining on the Saskatchewan clock. So what it means is Saskatchewan now has to get back on the ice Friday evening against the Northwest Territories in an elimination game. I had a chat with skip Mike McEwen after the loss. He said he likes the way the team played. Now they go in to this must-win game. Take a listen.
Loved all the throws, so there's nothing wrong there. We just literally 2 teams playing well, and the 8th end was an end that was not set up well, and we got in trouble. That's literally that was the game. One bad setup that led to too condensed of an end that we didn't want to get into. It's unfortunate that happened, but you know, that's all it takes when 2 teams are playing well.
In the other 1-versus-2 qualifying game, it was a 5-time champion and defending champion Gushue, Team Canada, defeating Manitoba's Team Reid Carruthers. So that sets up a Saturday night showdown between Gushue and Brennan Bottcher. And the other showdown in the elimination game is a Battle of Manitoba, Matt Dunstone versus Reid Carruthers. Of course, it's been 44 long years since Saskatchewan last won a Brier title. If that streak is to end, Saskatchewan is going to have to win 4 straight games here at the Brier. Devin Haru, CBC News, Regina.
Well, a frosty start to the day in Saskatoon. Wind chills making it feel like the -30s early this morning. But things have warmed up, and it looks like we're in for a pretty significant temperature jump for the weekend. Reid has the details in your forecast after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. March Mania is on now.
Welcome back, and our weather specialist Reid joining us now for a look at the forecast. My shoes got a little dirty out there in all the melting snow, Ty.
Yeah, because of all that warmth we've been seeing and feeling, Ethan. Of course, not just down here in Regina, but throughout much of the province, really. We started off our week with that cold air because of that storm, but that warmer air is finally starting to move back in. Up in the north, we're seeing highs right now around -5 in Stony Rapids. In Collins Bay, current temperatures around -6, so actually above seasonal there. And of course, as we head down south, right here in Regina, we're seeing current temperatures around -9, and in Saskatoon around -7, and of course in Maple Creek above 0 for our friends there. So we're definitely starting to feel that warmth finally. Those spring temperatures are coming in, but of course this won't be the end of it as we head into the weekend, and even into next week we'll still be feeling this warmth, but I'll get into that later. For now, we did see a lot of sunshine today and a lot of clear skies throughout much of south and central and even the north. As we head into the weekend, we'll still be seeing a lot of clearing down south. Up in the north, we'll see a bit of cloud cover, but still a lot of sunny skies for them there as well. Heading into Sunday, that clearing will stick around in the south, but we will see some precipitation move in throughout the north. This will be a mix of rain and snow. It won't leave much accumulation. We're looking at around 1 centimeter of snow in Stony Rapids, but of course still feeling that warm air that we've been talking about. And as we head into Monday, we'll also see a system of light snow move through central areas of the province, like right here in Saskatoon and over in Prince Albert, but of course still feeling that warmth. Winds weren't much of an issue today, luckily, but as we are heading out for the weekend, as we're enjoying that sunshine and those warm temperatures, we are going to feel those gusts start to pick up a lot more. Heading into Sunday, we can even see gusts around 40 to 50 kilometers an hour in southern areas of the province. So you're definitely going to want to hold onto your hats as you're enjoying time in the sun and soaking up all that warm air. Now, speaking of warm air, let's take a look at our 7-day forecast here in Regina, sitting above zero for honestly most days as we head into the week ahead, even seeing a daytime high of 6 degrees on Sunday, and of course starting our week on Monday with a high of 5 degrees, and this will continue with the week ahead. On Friday, you are going to want to keep an eye out for those wind gusts. They will be gusting near 50 kilometers an hour. In Saskatoon, also feeling that warm air. Of course, if you're heading out this weekend, you're still going to see lots of sunshine. On Sunday, once again, you're going to feel those wind gusts really start to pick up. On Monday, as we talked about, we'll see some precipitation move through central areas like Saskatoon as well. But as we head further into the week, we're going to see daytime highs above zero once again. So it really is starting to feel like spring, Ethan.
Maybe rubber boots a good investment.
Oh, definitely.
All right, thanks, Tyreek.
No problem.
Look at this. It's a stampede.
How's your golf game? Well, maybe not as good as these kangaroos hopping across this golf course near Melbourne, Australia, leaving surprised golfers with no choice but to let the marsupials play through. No word on what their handicap is, by the way, but for golfers in Australia, dealing with the roos in the rough is just par for the course. We'll be back after the break.
Stampede.
Welcome back. Family recipes are often passed down through generations, and sometimes those recipes can turn into a lot more. In this video for the CBC Creator Network, filmmaker Aisha Mohsen talks to 3 women about how they went from home cooks to kitchen queens.
The one thing common between all these chefs is the presence of other strong women in their lives, including their mothers, grandmothers, and friends. These women are making their mothers proud by running successful businesses through their love of food.
You were telling me something about how did you start getting involved in cooking?
When I moved here, I couldn't find any halal place to enjoy my meal. Whenever I go outside, even if I find some place, it's way too expensive and I didn't enjoy the meal over there. So I started cooking, asking my mom, my sister how to make this and that. Anyways, then YouTube.
These chefs are revisiting their family recipes for their communities, experimenting with their cooking styles, finding new ways of marketing, and also training cooks who will become future chefs.
They are getting not only good price but the quality food. Like I've been using like fresh tomatoes and fresh onions. Like everything is fresh in here. I really enjoy making butter chicken because my kids love it. And I've been making halim since past 15 years for the masjid and for the community, just to give away. But now since I have my own kitchen, so I'm selling it, but it was always meant to be for my community enjoying it for free.
So Minahil, why do you think it's important for women to be having their own business in the city, or what empowers them in their kitchens?
Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of male-owned businesses already, and it's nice to see, it's a refresher to see a woman-owned business because it shows us that women are hardworking and they're reliable as well. And it also just is nice to have a financially independent woman in the house because it empowers the household itself.
Do you one day want to cook like your mom?
Yeah.
These women chefs are not only running their households, but also establishing their businesses successfully with the help of their families and friends.
Zainab was telling me a bit about how did you started cooking and why do you love cooking so much?
My mother, she was a good cook, and her mother was a good cook too.
Nice.
So when people saying, "Oh, you are making a good food," so people love my mom's food too. So.
Okay, so you use your mom's recipes too then in your cooking?
I can say no. I use my base, my mom cooking. The rest of stuff I learn.
Who are your basic customers or Albarak's customers?
My basic customers, they are Pakistani, and I'm making the food for them like because they love it. The rest of is Indian, Bangladeshi, then Canadian too.
You have international students too?
Yes, they are coming here, they enjoy. They are saying I'm making a food like a mom.
Okay, that's good.
Food is a competitive business, and these women have found a niche. They're filling the void of nostalgia by feeding international students, immigrants, and whoever misses home-cooked meals. For these women, their services bring back the memories of meals prepared and made by mothers and grandmothers. Zainab works alongside her husband at Albarak, and they make sure to create an inclusive environment for new chefs.
I think 7-8 employees, more than 7-8 employees. They are working, so I can say so we are creating a job and
helping everyone.
Helping everyone, yeah.
So we are here today with Sonal Patel, and she works at Sri Akshar restaurant, which is a vegetarian restaurant at downtown.
Yeah.
So Sonal, how did you start cooking, or how did you get involved in cooking?
Yeah, of course. When I was a child, my mother always taught me how to cook different dishes, and I think she is the best cook in the world. And since childhood, I am passionate about the cooking. Sometimes I make different dishes, which is I learned from my mother. And when I make that recipe, I always miss my mother, and the taste is actual like whatever she made.
Local businesses can be the backbone of any community, and Regina's community is nurturing women leaders who are finding their strength, financial independence, supporting their families, and creating jobs for the community.
And that mini doc was done by filmmaker Aisha Mohsen for the CBC Creator Network. Find out how to pitch your own story by heading to cbc.ca/Creator Network SK. And Tyreek is back with one last look at our forecast.
Thank you, Ethan. We'll feel those cooler temperatures come in tonight in Regina, seeing lows at around -11, feeling more like -18. As we wake up tomorrow morning, we'll still be feeling that cooler air, but still much warmer compared to what we've seen earlier this week when waking up. And as we head into the afternoon, we'll get closer to that daytime high. And once again, still seeing mainly sunny skies in Regina. And in Saskatoon tonight, a bit cooler, seeing lows around -14, feeling more like -21. Waking up tomorrow morning in Saskatoon, we're still going to be feeling that cool air. But of course, as we head into the afternoon, we'll start to get closer to that daytime high with mainly sunny skies, Ethan.
Looks great. All right. Thanks, Tyreek.
No problem.
And that is it for us for tonight and for this week. And for news anytime, of course, you can always head to cbc.ca/Sask, subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend.